Ho, ho, ho!
Hello and a warm welcome to Sounds from Scotland from the American Scottish Foundation. My name is Jamie McGeechan and a warm welcome to you. This is our final episode of Sounds from Scotland for 2021, and what a year it's been. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a good weekend, and I'm so glad that you can join us. We have some Scottish music upcoming, a couple of wee Christmas tunes, and I'm joined for an interview with Scottish singer-songwriter Starsky, who tells us all about his involvement with new Netflix Christmas movie, A Castle for Christmas. We also have a lovely wee radio play called Musical Ancestries Scotland. A few weeks ago, I had the privilege of being involved in this project, which was aired on Classic 107.3 in Scotland. And it follows the story of two young Americans who travelled to Scotland to spend time with their uncle. Using a mix of music, story and song, it's a great wee adventure, and I hope you enjoy it. Welcome.
Well, it'll be 1 week and he's on his way. Sleigh bells ring as old Crosby plays. The smell of sweet sherry is in the air. And your mom's choked up inside, 'cause your dad's on his 4th or 5th malt wine. The turkey's burnt but tastes better than the year before. So tell your friends that you're glad they're around, and good tidings we bring to all the love that we found. You can write it in a song, and you can shout it to the world that it's a Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas to all. Let the snowballs fly and the good times roll before your great aunt Sadie finds the mistletoe, and Gran has danced her man right out the door, and he's checked his list thrice. Let's hope to God you put the Irish cream on ice. I heard he's on the roof. Kids, look out down below, and tell your friends that you're glad they're around, and good tidings we bring to all the love that we found. And you can write it in a song, and you can shout it to the world that it's a Merry Christmas, a Merry Christmas to all. Yes, it's a Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas to all.
My heart is a flower
no surprise right now.
Good evening, Starsky. How are you? It's lovely to speak with you. I'm so glad you can join us on Sounds from Scotland. I was delighted to hear about your involvement with Scottish Netflix Christmas movie smash, A Castle for Christmas. But how did it all come about?
How it came about is myself and Jamie have been in a kind of corporate wedding band for a long time. We've known each other for about 16 years, and kind of as lockdown was easing, we went into the recording studio at the very famous Barrowlands in Glasgow, and we recorded a song with our good friend Scythe, who's an incredible bass player. He also helped with the song. So it was me, Jamie Duffin and Scythe. We also brought in our drummer to drum on it, and an accordion player called Scott Leslie. And I then sent the track off to a friend who I'd met on Instagram, who lives in LA and is actually a writer. And it just so happened she knew of a movie that wrapped in Scotland very soon after we'd done the song, and I sent it to her. She loved it.
That's absolutely brilliant. You can't really go wrong. That mix of romance, comedy, Scotland, Christmas and castles. I mean, there is just something so magical about that. And over the last few years, it's been great to see lots of new movies being filmed in Scotland. But yeah, it certainly does. It seems to carry that kind of romantic aesthetic to it, doesn't it? Which is, of course, true. Of course.
A Christmas movie that's in Scotland is always going to win fans. We're very, very proud of having a song on a Netflix movie, and especially a Christmas movie, because Christmas comes every year. So we're very privileged that Netflix asked us and took our song, and thank you to them. I really appreciate you doing this, mate. And as you know, as a independent songwriter, you need as much help and support as you can get. I think on the very day we released that single, there might have been something like 60,000 other singles coming out that day. Something horrifically large like that. So to get our songs on different radio stations, Radio Scotland's played it, and they've been really good to us. Just heard tonight on one of these, Revenge FM has put us in number 10 at the new music chart that they've got. So it's great. It really is fantastic, mate.
It's always absolutely brilliant hearing Scottish talent getting the recognition they deserve for their talents. So a very well done to you, Starsky, and we look forward to hearing more from Starsky and the Fox in the future. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Does heather as far as the eye can see? The rain falls, but that's alright with me. From the highlands in Glencoe you'll feel it. From the people in the nightlife you'll feel it. Over mountains and across the oceans, no matter how far you go, through the cities from coast to coast, let the rivers in your Celtic heart. Over mountains and across the oceans, no matter how far you go, through the cities from coast to coast, let the rivers in your Celtic heart flow. there's a calling from far across the sea. From the wide lands of Noidar, you see it. When you get home, you know that you found it. Over mountains and across the oceans, no matter how far you go, through the cities from coast to coast, let the rivers in your Celtic heart flow. From coast to coast, let the rivers in your Celtic heart flow. Over mountains and across the oceans, no matter how far you go, through the cities from coast to coast, let the rivers in your Celtic heart flow.
Scotland, a land of diverse beauty, from craggy highlands to rolling hills of heather to lowland fields, and dotting the countryside, the shimmering lakes, or lochs as they're called. Annabelle and Gavin had always wanted to visit that wonderful country where their dad was born. They'd heard about Scotland, talked about it, read about it, dreamed about it, but it seemed like their wish to go there would never come true. Until the day their mom came home from work and called them into the living room.
I have a huge surprise for you.
What? What is it?
Remember how your dad loved to tell you stories about growing up in Scotland with your Uncle Fergus?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, Uncle Fergus called today. He wants to know if you'd like to come visit him in Scotland.
Seriously? You've got to be kidding.
Seriously. He felt a trip would be a great change of pace for you, and that you could learn a lot. He even wants to take you to a tattoo.
A tattoo? Like the big music festival in Edinburgh?
Exactly.
Wow!
Unbelievable.
So I can take that as a yes?
Yes.
Yes!
Okay, just checking. We'll call him in the morning. It's too late right now. It's bedtime there. They're 6 hours ahead of us. Hungry? How about some dinner?
Over their meal, they laughed, planned, and retold some of Dad's favorite stories about Uncle Fergus as a boy. He must have been a mischievous kid. They wondered if he was still that way. They sure hoped so. In the next few weeks, Annabelle and Gavin researched Scotland online, visited the library, found great information, and checked out some beautiful books. Gavin started with history, while Annabelle dug into geography, language, and culture. As they studied, they listened to Scottish music, which they both loved. Scotland's history is fascinating. Inhabited since the Stone Age, there are 6 World Heritage Sites where people can see remains that date back 5,000 years. Over the centuries, many peoples came to Scotland, but the most significant were the Celts. By 275 BC, they were such a presence that even today the Celtic culture and language is part of all the British Isles. In 124 AD, the Romans arrived in Scotland. They called it Caledonia. Never able to conquer the Caledonians and the Picts, the Romans finally left. In 800, the Vikings arrived from Norway and Denmark to trade and settle in the west of Scotland. Meanwhile, the Picts established the Kingdom of Alba. That's when the kids' history research flowed into their love of theater.
Annabelle, remember when we saw Shakespeare's Macbeth?
Yeah.
He wasn't just a character in a play. Macbeth really lived. He was king of Alba from 1040 until he died in battle 17 years later. I also found William Wallace, the warrior. Remember that movie Braveheart? And Robert the Bruce, too, crowned king in 1306. Maybe we knew more about Scotland than we thought.
Isn't it fun to learn all this?
Yeah, Dad would be proud.
Exploring on through the Renaissance, Gavin learned about Mary, Queen of Scots, and her son, James VI, who became the king of both Scotland and England, an era known as the Union of the Crowns. In the Age of Enlightenment, Scotland was renowned for its philosophers and writers, among them Sir Walter Scott and Robert Burns. In the 1800s, Scotland's cities grew larger and more industrial, and by the 1900s, her foundries, steelworks, and shipyards helped win both world wars. In the 1990s, Scotland's musicians and writers once again became famous worldwide, like J.K. Rowling with her first books about Harry Potter.
I've been reading about the geography, culture, and language, and found out they're all very deeply connected. There are 4 basic languages or dialects in Scotland: Gaelic from the Celts, Scots, Doric, and English. There are also 2 distinct geographical regions in Scotland, the Highlands and the Lowlands, and their 2 cultures are also different from each other.
The mountainous Scottish Highlands are in the north and west areas of the country. For over 100 years, it's been the Scottish Gaelic-speaking area of Scotland. Notice it's pronounced Gaelic, not Gaelic. Highland English is also spoken here. The other region is the Lowlands. There they speak Scots, sometimes called Lowland Scots or Broad Scots, and English. But up in Aberdeen and surrounding areas in the northeast of Scotland, there's a 4th Scottish language or dialect spoken, Doric. It's quite distinct in comparison to Lowland Scots. Annabelle and Gavin's team learning proved helpful when they arrived in Scotland. Once they got through customs, they immediately heard a hearty voice calling them.
Hello, Annabelle and Gavin. What a bonny lass and strapping lad. Welcome to Edinburgh. I'm your Uncle Fergus. Remember me? Oh no, of course not. You were wee little ones of 4 and 2. And now, 10 years later, you're so grown up. It's great to have you here. Let's get your bags and get home to a nice meal.
Uncle Fergus was still every bit the character their dad had described. As he wheeled through the streets of Edinburgh, on the left side of the road, which felt a little scary at first, he gave them a brief outline of their plans.
We'll be hearing lots of music, folk songs and dances, learning about traditional instruments, taking a short trip to the Highlands for a day, and finishing up with the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. We start tomorrow. We're going to a Cary social, a wee gathering. Let's get a good meal on you and you can rest up from your long trip.
The next morning, when the kids woke up, Uncle Fergus told them about Scotland's famous poet and songwriter, Robert Burns.
Some call him Scotland's bard, others the ploughman poet, but Robert Burns is Scotland's pride. He was born on January 25th in 1759 in the village of Elwes, the oldest of 7 children. His father was a tenant farmer. Even though they didn't have much money, his parents saw to it that he and his brothers got a good education. Robert also farmed, but because the area had poor soil, he lived in near poverty most of his life. He worked long, hard days and read by a single candle at night, but he wrote beautiful poems and songs,
loved all around the world. They were very popular in your own USA. Both Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass were inspired by them, and both men considered his writings to be among the most valuable in their collections. You know one of them, Auld Lang Syne. The tune we use today isn't his tune, but it is an old Scottish tune.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of Auld Lang Syne? For Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for days of Auld Lang Syne. We twa here run about the braes and put the gowans fine, but we've wandered many a weary fet since days of Auld Lang Syne. And we twa he pedalled in the barn frae morning sun till dine, but seas between us braid he rode since days of Auld Lang Syne. For Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for days of Auld Lang Syne.
Robbie, as the Scots call him, wrote some poems in English, but his truest voice was in his everyday speech, the Scots language. His first book of poems helped him financially. His second expanded edition was an even better success, but unfortunately he sold the copyright and he didn't make any money from it. Finally giving up farming, he moved to town and supported his family working as a public servant. He died in 1796 at the age of 37, on the same day that his wife gave birth to their 9th child. Burns's poems were enormous contributions to Scotland's literary heritage, and his songs are some of the most beloved in a land that simply cherishes its songs.
Listen to this lovely Robert Burns song called Green Grow the Rashes, played and sung by Little Fire and recorded in the Burns home. The interpretation is a bit more modern, but its beauty is timeless.
Green grow the rashes, oh, green grow the rashes, oh, the sweetest sues I ever spent among the lassies, oh. There's naught but care on every hand and every that passes, oh, what signifies the life of man and 24 the lassies, oh. Green grow the rashes, oh, green grow the rashes, oh. The sweetest sues I ever spent among the lassies, oh. The warly race me riches chase.
Robbie had deep insights into the human spirit. and a gift for putting himself into others' shoes to express their feelings. He could write the most tender love songs, then turn and poke fun at pompous people like he did in Address to a Haggis.
Uncle Fergus, what's a haggis?
Well, Gavin, a haggis is made from some of the organs of the sheep, which are cooked, then chopped up very fine and mixed with oatmeal, onion and spices. Then traditionally, it's put in the sheep's stomach and boiled, although these days most people use artificial casing. We'll try some. You'll like it.
Ew, I don't know.
Me either.
Back to Rabbi. Every year on his birthday, the 25th of January, or close to it, people hold burn suppers, which feature the main dish, haggis. A piper plays as it's brought in, big ceremony. Then the host grandly recites Address to a Haggis. They cut it up with a sword and serve it with potatoes and vegetables. After the meal and some speeches, there might be some music, but the evening always ends with everyone singing Auld Lang Syne.
I've heard about the burn suppers. One day I'll get to go to one.
Ah, indeed you will, my dear. You both will.
Late that afternoon, they went to the Cary, a big gathering of people who were ready to party and dance. Uncle Fergus explained that Caylys are all about dancing. Because everyone's been doing these dances since they were children in PE class, they're comfortable, and nobody feels like they have to be an expert.
I really like this, don't you, Annabelle?
Yeah, at first I thought it would be hard to figure out the steps, but everyone just sort of brings you right along with them.
We've got to teach our friends how to do this.
Yeah.
There is another, much more formal version of line and formation dancing called Scottish Country Dance. There's a Royal Scottish Country Dance Society that trains the dancers and callers. You'll see them at the tattoo.
Ooh, that'll be great, and we'll actually know what's going on.
That'll be the first time.
Speak for yourself, little brother.
Taller than you.
All right, you two, the next dance is starting. You want to talk or dance?
Dance!
After several more dances, they returned home from the Cary, tired but energized. The next day, they went to see some step dancing. Step dancing, or Cape Breton dancing, has a style and sound all its own, but the footwork is the main feature, which you might guess from its name. It's often accompanied by instruments like fiddles and keyboards. But if there are no instruments available, singers become the accompaniment. There's even a special name for this type of singing called Portiabil, which means tones from a mouth.
Hoortje voor, hoortje niet met data zien, snoetje zien met lang voor, hoortje niet met alashing, hoortje niet met lang voor, hoortje niet met data zien, snoetje zien met lang voor, hoortje niet met alashing, ga je de deel lakken voor, ga je de deel allerket, ga je de deel lakken voor, het zijn koele maandag, ga je de deel lakken voor, ga je de deel allerket, ga je de deel lakken voor, het zijn koele maandag, hoortje niet met lang voor, hoortje niet met data zien, snoetje zien met lang voor, hoortje niet met alashing, hoortje niet met lang voor, hoortje niet met data zien, snoetje zien met lang voor, hoortje niet met alashing, ga je de deel lakken voor.
This traditional form of song, native to Scotland, sets Gaelic lyrics to instrumental tunes. The words themselves enhance the rhythm for the dancers, and sometimes there's an improvised nonsense syllable, like scat singing, that has a percussive effect. Uncle Fergus was a very good singer and loved to talk about traditional Scottish songs.
We have such a lovely way with melody here in Scotland. Yesterday we talked about Robert Burns and his poems and songs. Did I mention he also liked to collect Scottish folk songs? He loved that oral tradition. Among all these many fine songs, one of the most beautiful is Loch Lomond. It's an adaptation of a song where a man is dying in service to his king and thinking of his true love at home. He'll take the low road of death home to Scotland.
By yon bonny banks and by yon bonny braes, where the sun shines bright on Loch Lomond, where me and my true love will never meet again, on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond. Oh, you take the high road and I'll take the low road, and I'll be in Scotland afore ye. But me and my true love will never meet again, on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond.
That's just gorgeous, Uncle Fergus.
Yes, it is. Hauntingly beautiful. You know, there are also many songs that were created to make work go more quickly. Most cultures have them. They're called work songs. Here in Scotland, we're known for our sheep and the wool they produce. One of the more repetitive tasks in getting the wool ready to go to market was what we call walking the wool or the tweed. Long ago, several women sat at a table or on the ground and worked the fabric by pounding and slapping it with their hands and or feet so it became softer. Singing together in rhythm with the motion kept the energy up and the task lighter. You'd also hear a leader sing the call, and then the response came from the rest of the group.
It seems that people make music with or without instruments here. It's just a part of life, like breathing. I like that.
That's an interesting observation, Gavin. Let's talk about a couple of Scottish instruments. Like other cultures, we use fiddles and accordions, in ensembles and as solo instruments. And we also have a Scottish harp, called the lever harp or the clarsach. Listen to how lovely it sounds.
The next day they drove to Inverness, the principal city of the Highlands. The 3.5-hour drive was breathtaking, with craggy mountains and beautiful scenery. As they went, they talked about one other Scottish instrument that was the most obvious of all, bagpipes. They learned that the Highland pipes are different from the Lowland ones.
Highland pipes are quite a bit bigger and much louder than the border pipes from the Lowlands. Designed to be used outside, most often in military applications, Highland pipes need to be heard. Think of the lone piper on the wall of a fortress. Highland pipes are used for military pipe and drum corps because they can be heard better by the troops who are marching with them. The drummers use specialised techniques, so they're as much fun to watch as they are to hear.
Highland pipes are also used for special events, like weddings and funerals. This particular piece, Flowers of the Forest, is considered to be so reverent, pipers won't practice it in public. It's only played at a funeral. It was played at the funeral of Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh.
One of my main reasons for bringing you to the Highlands was to give you a taste of the Highland Games, one of the most popular events in the country. Between May and September, there are always games going on in some city in Scotland, and these are enormous gatherings of people. There are games and other activities, plus dancing competitions. I wanted you to see a Highland fling being performed where it originated.
After the fling and a great dinner, they spent the night in Inverness and drove back home to Edinburgh the next morning. That afternoon, they went to the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. There was art and food, theatre and dance. The Royal Scottish Dance Society performed with jaw-dropping precision, and the evening's events featured pipes and drums, plus military marching bands. There were even times when they all played together. It was fabulous.
Uncle Fergus, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I can't believe it's already dark. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this has been the best thing ever. How do we thank you for this?
You just did. When your dad went to heaven, I promised myself, and him, that I'd bring you to Scotland so you could experience his homeland. And here you are. I feel like he's here with us right now, and I know he's incredibly proud of you both.
He gave them both a hug, and just at that moment, a lone piper started to play. Fireworks lit up the sky. All three of them got goosebumps and teared up. The musicians were all gathered on the field, and the MC began to speak.
This is my own, my native land. Land, brown heath and shaggy wood. Land of the mountain and the flood. Land of my sires. What mortal hand could e'er untie the filial band that knits me to thy rugged strand? Scotland, Scotland the brave!
Someday maybe I'll be so bold enough to think about what makes me hold on to the stuff that makes my heart and my head get cold. Maybe I'm just overthinking, maybe I'm just getting old. Take me back to the world that I believe in. Shake it up with some love around here. I come back to the still when all these changes come around. We can chase away the sorrow and the fear. There's a danger So go on living with your head and heart, and we'll write a new song. We'll make a start in this newfound world every night and day. We can lay there forever, we'll never go away. Take me back to the world I believe in. Shake it up with some love around here. I'll come back to this town when all these changes come around. We can chase away the sorrow and the fear. Take me back to the world without the living. Shake it up with some love around here. I'll come back to this town when all these changes come around. We can chase away the sorrow and the fear.
Look for the best in me, the things that I really believe, and you know that's all I needed from the start. You travel the world for me, set sail in the ocean, but I'll always feel the beating of your heart. 'Cause our love can light up the dark, but our love keeps us apart. And the reason why it feels so hard for me to make a choice is I'm learning to love like this. And I won't waste 1 second more. I need to hear your voice. So I'll learn how to love, I'll learn how to love like this. You know I'll make room for you if only you keep your truth and you live your life exactly how you planned. I only want good for you, and maybe I'll add some too, and we'll find our perfect place, our wonderland. 'Cause our love can light up the dark, but our love keeps us apart. And the reason why it feels so hard for me to make a choice is I'm learning to love like this. And I won't waste 1 second more. I need to hear your voice. So I'll learn how to love, I'll learn how to love like this. And the reason why it feels so hard for me to make a choice is I'm learning to love I'm learning to love like this. Where I'm drawn, pointed north, fluctuating, we never cross. You are my first aid manual. You are my paracetamol. You are my Adrian, giving me the strength I need to be the greatest I can be. This is poetry for a girl who can't love, and she can't love me. Again with your arrogance. Is this room getting warmer? Are you waiting? Bless, pardon my ignorance. 'Cause when you look at me like that, it's contagious. You are the flame when I need a spark. You are my courage when I'm in the dark. You were my first game of truth and dare. Even though you're not here, to me you're everywhere. This is poetry for a girl who can't love. She can't love me. No, she can't love me. No, she can't love me. No. You inspire me, your amazingness, but I know nothing will become of that.
Thank you so much for joining us for this final episode of Sounds from Scotland for 2021. I hope that you do have a very happy holidays, and I look forward to seeing you in the new year. All the very best. Thank you.